So you may be wondering, what's all this stuff about modal verbs? Weren't we talking about the perfect tense? And I want to show you how we can use modal verbs with the past participle. So let's take a look. Just a quick review, first of all, modal auxiliary verbs are words such as can, may, must, ought, shall, should, will, could, and would, and they're used with other verbs and they don't change based on the subject. Some examples: I can walk, or he can walk, you should go, Stacy could dance. And then we talked about the negatives, how you would put a negative word in between the modal and the verb. For example, he would not go, and how can and not form cannot. And then how you can make contractions with several of these, like can't, won't, wouldn't, couldn't, shouldn't. And so now I want to talk to you about how you can use past participles to make the past forms for modal verbs. So when you use the modal verb with the word have and the past participle, it creates the modal verb in the past tense. So here's an example: could have gone, or may have been, or should have known. The knowing is the verb, have is just kind of helping out, and should is the modal, and should is just letting us know, it's modifying, it's changing what we mean by known. It's not that I knew, it's that I should have known. Okay, so we're gonna go through some examples, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to underline the subject in gray, the modal in green, the word have in yellow, and the past participle in blue. So we have, Jerry may have parked in the wrong spot. So the subject is Jerry, he's the one doing the action. The modal is may, that's one of these words. Have, and then the past participle is parked, because the verb is park, and then we have added on to that the ed. Now let's just do a really quick review, just in case past participle has slipped your mind. Past participle is the form of the verb as a completed action, and we use it in the perfect tense. The regular past participle is just the simple verb in the past tense. So for example, just adding an ed to the end, like walk would go to walked. Or if it already has an e at the end, just adding a d, like love would turn to loved. A couple of spelling tricks: when we have a y, it turns to ied, such as try goes to tried with a tried. And when you have one syllable with two consonants, you add a double consonant to keep the vowel sound soft. So stop would go to stopped with two p's. And of course, there's a ton of irregulars. I wish it weren't so, but this is the language that we speak. So there's this whole list of irregulars that should look familiar to you, and take another moment to familiarize yourself. Some common ones: been, seen, come, gone, known, written. We will also be using the example of left. Leave in the past tense is left. So the past participle is also left. So let's go back here. So we've got past subject, modal, have, past participle. And let's take a look at this one. He wouldn't have known if you hadn't told him. So he is the subject. The modal is would. In this case, it's wouldn't, would not. We have that negative in there. Have, and then known is the past participle of knew, even though it's irregular. How about this one? I'm sorry, I may have been wrong. So I is the subject, may is the modal, have, and then been. Remember, been is the past participle of be. So be in the past simple is was or were, but in the past participle it's been. Next one, the party could have started 10 minutes ago. So the party is the subject. Remember, our subject doesn't have to be a name or pronoun. Could is the modal. Have, and then you guessed it, started is the past participle. And this is just like parked. It's the word start with just an ed at the end. Well, this one, she could have, and here we have left. Left is the past participle. All right, so that's not too hard. One last thing to look at is contractions. When we have must have, could have, should have, would have, a modal, these specific modals plus have, we can actually combine them into contractions. So must have, could have, should have, would have. The party could have started 10 minutes ago would be an example of that, or she could have left. So you can actually just combine those two words. And that's about it.